All right, it's time to talk about it. It's time to talk about the Royal Rumble. I love TakeOver. Made me hopeful. You know, it wasn't the best TakeOver I've seen, but I loved it. But you know, I don't know what it is with every stinking pay-per-view, but they just have to go down the most predictable routes, which isn't a bad route to take. They could have given us a lot worse choices. I mean, they could have handed it No Way Jose for the Rumble win. But Rollins didn't surprise me. Becky really didn't surprise me. And what really bothers me about when it comes to the Royal Rumble, at least this year, and in fact last year, because it happened once, is that you can just attack whoever the heck is in the Rumble before the match and just take their spot. Because screw it, right? Screw it. Who needs rules? Who needs rules? Screw it. Let's just throw in whoever we want. No, R-Truth was still number 30. I don't care if Nia Jax attacked him and took his place. You already have a Royal Rumble. What are you going to do? Fight Brock Lesnar? I wish you good luck. Because if a woman wins the men's, what's going to happen now? You're in a bit of a jam because you got Bryan and you got Lesnar to choose from. Unbelievable. And that's not even the most bitter thing that I was mad about. They threw in Becky, and you know I've been a fan of Becky since NXT when she came in. But that one didn't irritate me as much. She stepped in for Lana. Lana was hurt, and she couldn't continue. So Finlay, the guy who was standing there, decided, you know what, you can replace her. I thought that was fine, or at least that was a better excuse. Lana wasn't able to compete, so they replaced her. Completely more understandable than Nia Jax just pulverizing R-Truth and just saying, alright, well, I'm in, because, you know, whatever. Which is good and bad. It creates pops, it creates emotional moments, but for me, it dampens it. It sours it. Because, I mean, they did it last year with Ty Dillinger getting taken out by Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, and Sami Zayn stepped in. Now Ty's still the man. He's still number 10. I mean, with that logic, anybody who hit Heath Slater last Royal Rumble could have just entered in at his spot. So it's so ridiculous to me on why that's a thing. And I know I sound super bitter. What I liked about the show, I liked Becky versus Asuka. Their match was pretty good. Shane and Miz, no surprise to me. Just put on a good match with the Bar. Finn Balor, and I'll get into that in a minute. Ronda Rousey versus Sasha Banks, I thought was okay. My only issue was Sasha Banks' weak comeback at the very end where she held up the 4, like, ooh, like, I lost, but you know what? We're still, the 4 horsewomen are still a thing. It's like, ooh, I'm so intimidated. I'm so intimidated by the fact that you held up the 4 to symbolize, well, Charlotte, myself, Bayley, and Becky run this. Last I checked, you and Bayley have been irrelevant since, you know, WrestleMania 33, regulated to dirt. Which, I sound bitter again, but I like both of them. So it's just, it irritates me because they do all these things, but they never built anything up long term for this. Brock beating Finn Balor. I mean, Brock did a long-term booking angle with Roman Reigns, which is whatever. It's in the past. But Balor versus Brock, my issue with it is that they just threw Balor into the match. I'm assuming because Braun, they decided to switch him and Braun. I don't know the reason why. I'm not going to pretend to. I don't want to jump out to assumptions like other YouTubers have. But, oh yeah, let's have Balor land the coup de grace. 1, 2, at 2, Brock kicks out. Now, normally I don't have a problem with kick outs of finishers because it happens almost in any wrestling match. But not only that, let's just have Brock lock in the Kimura and just make Balor tap out. And immediately 1, 2, kick out, and locked him into the submission. So basically he played possum and didn't feel anything when the guy stomped his ribcage. I mean, it was a cool sequence. Here's what I would have liked if they were going to do that. 1, 2, at 2 he kicks out. Balor can't believe it. Goes back up to the top rope, goes for a second one, leaps. Brock rolls out of the way, and then Balor sprints forward, locks him into the Kimura, drops him down, and then make him tap out. That's what I would have done. Knocked over the F5 into the Kimura. If you were going to do the Kimura finish, I think that would have been much better because you really make it seem like Brock got lucky. Now it doesn't seem like Brock got lucky. It seems like he's overpowered. He shook that thing off like it was nothing. That's what irked me. That's what irritated me about the match. I thought the match was fine for the 8.5 minutes it ran. I thought it was pretty good for a Brock match, at least in this stage of his career. But, golly, that was one of the most irritating things of the night. Just how they did the finish. The finish is important to a wrestling match, and if you just make him tap out right after a finisher, and here's the thing. I know I sound like I'm complaining. Once again, I thought most of the matches were okay, fine. They weren't fantastic. Well, not all of them were. I mean, the Women's Royal Rumble was just predictable. Although I did like it. I liked the NXT women coming out. Candice LeRae, Io Shirai. I think I botched her first name. Casey, something from American Ninja Warrior. She came out. Rhea Ripley, I loved seeing. There's a bunch of women that I thought were so cool to see who came in. Kairi Sane. So many women that I popped for. Was excited for. There was no giant surprise entrances, but seeing Rhea Ripley and a few others like that who I just already named was really eye-opening. And Candice, I thought, got one of the biggest pops out of the NXT women, which I commend her for the crowd for. Thank you for popping for her, because, yeah, she deserves that, I think, in my opinion. But, Daniel Bryan versus AJ, I thought was okay. I think it's one of the first times I'll say AJ just had a decent match in WWE. I mean, this is his 3-year anniversary of being in the company, and he had his, first, in my opinion, he had his first okay match. But, Rowan helping Daniel Bryan, I hope they just make it entertaining. To me, the things I'd change about the Rumble matches are make it feel more unpredictable, make it feel like anybody can win. And what I mean by that is you have Becky, Charlotte, and Nia Jax in the final 3, and it was blatantly obvious that they were going to do that to me. And sometimes, this is just my opinion, I don't like the too obvious. Maybe you have Candice LeRae or an NXT woman last till the final 4 or the final 3, and they get that last minute exposure that people will remember. People will remember the final 4, the final 3, the final 2 sometimes, even for the next year. So the fact that, it got to that really made me feel frustrated, because you chucked all of them out, and now none of them got that giant, they all had spotlight moments. Let me clarify. They had a lot of spotlight moments. Lacey Evans and others, but it's Lacey Evans. I wish that for all the NXT guys, like they're doing with Heavy Machinery, give them characterization on screen if you're going to build them up toward a pay-per-view, so that people can at least understand a gimmick like Lacey Evans or EC3 or like those kind of people, so that if you're going to put them in the Rumble as their kind of like debut match, then at least you can understand it a little bit, the gimmick a little bit, because it felt like it was coming out of left field, at least her gimmick. Which, you know, for some people, for some, I already know her gimmick. I already thought it was okay. It's nothing huge or monumental shift in wrestling, but it's for me. If you put like an NXT woman in there to help all three, Becky, Charlotte, and that NXT woman, whoever it may be, team up on like Nia, chuck her out to have that big moment, and then you can throw out the NXT woman, but she gets like whoever that would be would get a huge moment in the spotlight. That's my point that I'm trying to get to, is that now you can build up an NXT woman like Kairi Sane, so that if you're going to bring them up to the main roster, people have that memory of them as being a threat long enough to stand in the ring and share the ring with Charlotte and Becky. It would be a huge push, even if they get eliminated by them. I think it was Corbin just, in the men's, Corbin just threw out Aleister Black like it was nothing. Right after Pete Dunne and him were putting on a good sequence of strikes and kicks, and I was sitting there going, okay, this is picking up the pace. Proud, I think, was starting to get into that reaction. And then Corbin just ran over, dumped Aleister out of the ring, and I was just like, what are you doing? What are you doing? I get you want to keep heel heat on Corbin, but like, it's... And then I can't remember who threw out Pete Dunne like almost immediately after. It was somebody else that was trying to get heel heat. Gargano came out in like number 6, I think. That was really cool. As a huge Johnny Wrestling fan, I absolutely loved that. Seeing him in the Rumble. I know it sounds weird, but I wish that they all brought out their titles and like put it down or something, so that at least the live audience sees that title and knows that, hey, these guys are important. Despite us not seeing them, these guys are important. But that's minor details. I know I'm nitpicking at this point in the video where I'm talking about minor details, but characterization to me is so important in any match, any kind of scene that you're going to set. How somebody dresses, how somebody looks, how somebody performs in the ring, how someone speaks, how someone looks. I think I repeated that twice. Look, are all imperative into a wrestler. And if you can't get one, then you run the risk of falling everything apart. Maybe the character holds up despite that one weakness. I know Roman Reigns was certainly weak at promos early on in his career. And he's certainly gotten better, but not like anything special in terms of promos that people have cut in NXT or some of the other passionate promos that I've heard from Daniel Bryan when I first started watching the Authority angles and that time period. That was phenomenal, or at least well written. And there are so many others who are very good at cutting promos. Like AJ's cut great promos as a heel. Cena, there's everything falls into place if everybody who's listening gets what I'm saying. And it goes a long way to see somebody carrying a strap on their shoulder that most of that live audience or some of that live audience hasn't seen before. So at least you know that they are important. Pete Dunne bringing out the UK Championship. Johnny Gargano bringing out the North American title. Those things are important to me in terms of establishing characters. Wow, these guys are important. Like when Owens debuted and he carried out the NXT title to stand in the ring with John Cena. That, to me, is characterization. You immediately establish that he is important, despite what you have not seen. This guy is important because he has a championship. the NXT Championship of another brand. Characterization. A Royal Rumble, you're not cutting promos, most likely, unless you're Elias or when they did that scene. Everything falls into place. Everything matters. And it's just a moving mechanism. I just felt, and same rule that I was talking about the women apply to the men. If you had a guy like Aleister Black be in the Final Four, maybe take out, I know this is so weird, but maybe if you replace Ziggler with Aleister Black in the Final Four, imagine how that'd look. Braun Strowman, Aleister Black, Almas, and then Seth Rollins. Now you have an NXT guy in there, and you make everyone sit there and think, well, maybe they'll go with the bold route of having... Now you have so many options. You have Rollins, the guy that people most predictably would win, or thought would win, and he did. Almas, who can be a wild card, who could get the push of a lifetime. Braun Strowman, the guy that everyone kind of thought that Vince was behind beforehand and is going to get his redemption, so people are kind of concerned about that. And then an NXT guy who you think is going to get called up and could get the greatest push of his lifetime to fight Brock or even Daniel Bryan. Now all of a sudden, everything is toned up. It's all dialed up. Because when I was sitting there watching the Final Four, I was thinking it's either going to be Braun or Seth. So right when they threw out Drew, I knew it was just going to be Seth and probably Braun who's going to win. One of the two. But if you threw in the wild cards, you instantly make, at least you have a chance of making people think there are so many more options on the table, or they might go a more creative route. And then Aleister gets the spotlight beamed down on him. Maybe you do what you did with Almas and throw him out first, and then it's Black and Seth against Braun. And then you have Black and Seth beating down on him, trying to eliminate him. Braun gets lucky and manages to catch Aleister by surprise. Aleister could have bandaged up his knee, and then Braun targets it. And he sells it from TakeOver, and people who have watched TakeOver would know. That's the kind of characterization, that's the storytelling that I like to see. That's the storytelling I wanted to see. And here's the thing, I thought the Rumble was fine. I didn't think it was as good as last year's. I thought last year's was absolutely phenomenal. In terms of the men's. The women's was pretty nice too. But there was just so many mismarks that I thought, if you just tweak this, if you just tweak that, it could have been something special. It's just, I see so many missed opportunities to make it seem better. Or at least make it seem like they've changed. I don't have a problem with Seth winning it. I just have a problem with them missing these opportunities. And I know that people will say, oh, well, you just, prefer NXT guys. No, that's not it. If NXT is going to be your future, build those guys now. Don't wait. Advertise NXT. NXT is what's saving your audience. This is what you need. This is what you need to do. Or maybe you should do it. I shouldn't say need. I should say should. Because it's my opinion. I think that they should. They don't need to. They could burn the company to the ground for all we care. People are constantly talking about how AEW is going to put them out of business. I don't want to see them put them out of business because then I know NXT is going to end. I don't want that. I don't want NXT to end. I want it to thrive. And at least SmackDown's watchable. If you just tweak things here and there, if you blurred the lines between black and white in terms of characters, if you took the time and effort into making these people feel more like human beings that are relatable to some degree, or at least you can understand their motivations, if you just tell better stories. At this point, it is a TV show. It is a TV show about a wrestling show. I've said this before. Tell stories. Gad, you can have the flashy wrestling. Gad, you can have the promos. You can have the goofiness. It's a show. But tell stories. Rollins winning is good. I like that. I like the narrative they told. The big forefront stories clicked. Becky winning. Seth winning. But the minor stories, the small build-ups are just as important, so then you make your mid-card and your undercard feel important and that we should tune in to watch. To watch these people perform, to watch these guys speak, to watch how they do everything in the ring. They should make it, even if you aren't getting pushed, they should make you feel like every single wrestler matters. Everybody's important on the roster. That's what it should be. That's what it should be. Or that's what I think it should be. And so many companies out there, I think, lose that sight. They either rely on one guy to carry them, their company, or they rely on several guys to carry the company. And I don't want to, and I'm not putting AEW in a category because they haven't started yet. I'm not going to judge them yet. So that's out the window. New Japan relies on a crap ton of guys. And from what I've seen, at least they value some people. I want them to put the junior heavyweights on a higher pedestal. But you get the point that I'm trying to make here. Or I hope you do, at least. The Royal Rumble, for me, was a miss. It wasn't bad, and it wasn't great. It could have been great, or at least it could have been good. I think it was just okay. It wasn't bad. It wasn't terrible. It wasn't anything special. It was just there, and it was fine. It was a safe route. They took it, and I can't blame them for that. Now, this puts even more pressure, however, on WrestleMania. Last year's Rumble made me so hopeful, and that's why I was highly anticipating the WrestleMania. And they dropped the ball for me, but still. So this now only puts more pressure on WrestleMania to be great. For me, in my perspective. This only adds the pressure. Sorry I ranted so long. For anybody that tuned in, thank you. If you guys want to share this video with people, please do. If you think people want to hear it. If you liked it, please leave a like or show your support in the comment section. If you have any other suggestions on topics, leave a suggestion down in the comments below. And I hope you all enjoyed this video. Of course, subscribe to the channel if you aren't already, and you want to hear more content, check out the playlist of the Mad Army podcast because it's continuing to grow, or any other videos on the channel. Hope you all enjoyed, and as always, suit up Mad Army. I will see you all next time.